We are starting off the afternoon portion with our panel of wonderful program advisors. They've activated Field to Play 60 in their schools with their students. And I will just give you a very brief introduction of names, and they will go into their slides here and let you know about kind of the different activities that they've done with their schools and the success stories that they've had. So starting on the far left is Rochelle Miller. She is the principal at a boy elementary school in Fort Wayne and also their Field to Play 60 program advisor. In the middle we have Courtney McGurr. She is the kitchen manager at Oakland Elementary in Lafayette, Indiana. And then last but not least we have Chris Berg, who is a former program advisor at Sunnyside Elementary School in Lafayette as well, and has moved around from Lafayette to Boulder and now back to Bloomington, Avon, everything like that. All of their bios and detail are on a sheet that is on your table, I believe, and if you would like to learn about a little bit more about them. But without further ado, I will turn it over to Rochelle, and here's the clicker.
And I have like a really rough following after this morning, and then we had lunch. I'm kind of hoping you don't fall asleep. But I am the principal at a boy elementary, and I'm newbie to the Play 60. We just finished our first year. So just wanted to give you a little information about what we did and some bumps that we came into and some help that we received. Let's see if I can.
There on the right.
Super easy.
Turn it, that's upside down. Flip it around. There you go.
You gotta hold it right. You are part of my slide. Okay, so we did, like I said, this is our first year. We picked our two plays were to the the farm to table, and then an activity play. And so our farm to table, we are very close to Keenert Dairy Farm, and have a nice little connection because Brittany Keenert actually teaches at our school. So she did also marry into the farming industry, and her and her husband met at Purdue. So, but we took our whole school out to Keenert Dairy Farm to give them a little taste of what the dairy farm is and where that milk comes from. So it started where they were in different groups, and they did some brief little introductions to the farm itself and to the barn and what all was happening with the cows. We too then learned about the little robotics that get the food closer to the cows, and all the kids thought that was super cool. They then learned about how those trackers, everything that you learned this morning about the homestead farm is on a smaller scale at Keenert Dairy Farm. And so learning about the automatic milkers, we thought that was super interesting. There were some cows that were missing teats, and that it automatically knew that they were missing. We got to witness some getting kicked out because they wanted those sweet tarts and they were not getting them. Our teachers even got, as a third grade teacher, our teachers even got involved in it, and we were all having a super good time. Here we are learning how to hand milk a cow. I was not successful. Here's all the babies. Of course, we love the babies too. And then the kids all got to enjoy some milk. And this slide's in here because Josh is my contact. And I just want to let you know, if you are not involved in Play 60 and you want to get involved, please know you are not alone. You can go as small or as large as you want to. And Josh, or whoever your contact will be, is amazing. Josh is there. He gave me his cell phone number. I can text him. I can email him. He is back immediately with me. If you need support, they're here to support you to make sure that you can bring your dreams to fruition. Our next play was activity, and we wanted to bring a Ninja Warrior course to our playground. And we wanted to be able to have this for recess time. We want to be able to have it so our community can come. My whole goal is that on Thanksgiving, instead of having a football game, families will come over and have a little Ninja Warrior contest. But we want to just bring the community together and get them out and get them active. Now, these are some pictures of the Ninja Warrior course that we are getting ready to build and some different ideas that we have on them. But this is not our course. This course is actually in Huntington, which is just a little south of Fort Wayne. But those are some teachers that went with me, and of course we were all playing. And so this was a little hiccup too, and I wanted to make sure and let you know, if you do take this on and you say, yeah, I think I want to bring this to the kids, they're so great at Play 60 to understand that we run into some hiccups. And so we are at the mercy of some construction companies who are donating some time to us. So we have the pot of money. We had our parents raise some more money. So we have about $6,000 over to the side, waiting to build phase 1 of our Warrior course. And then if you remember back to spring, when it was supposed to be started, it was a really odd spring, and so they couldn't get in to do anything, and they couldn't also get in to do anything of their other jobs that are getting paid. And so when the time came where the weather broke enough where they could get in, then of course we're low man on the totem pole because they're donating their time to us. We're paying for the materials, but they're donating their time. And so it does look like it's gonna be when the ground thaws out again next spring, but everybody's been really great working with us so that we could keep this on the forefront and make sure it's happening, but we're just keep raising money, so instead of doing 2 phases, by the time we get to it, we're just gonna do it all at once, and we'll have that money at that time. So it's still gonna happen, but it just doesn't always happen, as you know, on education, not on our time. Sometimes it's its own time, and they're great at working with us in being that support, so it's worked out really, really well.
All right, thank you. All right, my name's Courtney McGurk, and like Josh said, I work at Oakland Elementary. Excuse my voice, I have a little bit of laryngitis, so if I go in and out, I apologize. But so I work in the kitchen, and we serve about 250 students a day. And so a gym teacher brought to my attention the first year that we were at school, hey, let's work together. Let's do something super fun and super cool to get the PE side and the school nutrition side involved. So we came up with the idea where you make a NCAA, the bracket, like where, you know, they do all the teams or whatever, and you go, you know, week by week for the games. So we do that with fruits and vegetables. I don't know if that's the first one or not. Whoops. My bad. There it is. Okay, so we call it the Munch Madness instead of March Madness because copyright laws and, you know, what else. So my dietitian that I work with a lot at Oakland, her name's Elaine, she helped me design this bracket. And so on one side you have your fruits, on the other side you have your vegetables, and the students actually vote. So at lunchtime, we have this, I stand up there and I'm like, all right guys, we're gonna vote. And so, you know, like one day it may be, and sometimes they're super hard and the students really like them. So like one day maybe strawberries versus bananas. And you know, a lot of kids like bananas, a lot of kids like strawberries, and they have to actually sit and think, okay, what do I like more? Kind of like if your 2 favorite teams play each other, well, who do I want to win? So then we go down the line. One week we do fruits, one week we do vegetables. And then we just keep going down until we get a winner. Well, this year our winner was corn on the cob. They all love corn on the cob. They're a bunch of Indiana kids. So we actually got, I don't know if I have a picture up here. It's been a long 2 weeks at school, so I don't, there it is. Okay, so so the winner was corn on the cob. So on field day, for a snack, our snack station, we had corn on the cob. So, and we did, that's my husband, he grilled all the corn for us on his day off, came over, and we did the Mexican street corn style corn. So you have like the mayonnaise and the Parmesan and the spices and the lime. The kids absolutely loved it. They thought it was super fun, super exciting. Oh, Mrs. McGurr, I've never had this at home before. Me neither, guys, but it's great, isn't it? I've had it all the time. You know, so they absolutely loved it. And it's something we start every year in March when basketball is actually going on. So it's just a fun thing for them to do and get to, here's them voting. So they just raise their hands and I just kind of do the best, like where I see more hands up in the air. You can't really decide. But I mean, it's a lot of fun. And then so the last couple of years we had watermelon win one year. We had strawberries win another year, and we're fortunate to have a couple smoothie bikes already at Oakland. So we made strawberry smoothies the year strawberries won. But I mean, you can only eat so many strawberries, so I kind of took that one out. So we can't vote on strawberries anymore. I will take corn on the cob out this year so we don't vote on it again. So, and then the other idea that I did with my grant money is we have a lunch option at our school that's a fun lunch. And the fun lunch consists of goldfish, yogurt, string cheese, and a muffin. And so a lot of kids are hungry in the afternoon. They kind of have a lot of behaviors and stuff in the afternoon. So I was like, let's have a contest. Whatever class doesn't eat a fun lunch for however long we did when we started our kickoff, to however long, they were treated to a yogurt party. So I had one class that went the entire year from the beginning of September to May, and they did not eat this lunch option. And so they got to have this awesome fun lunch, or this awesome yogurt party, where we did just yogurt in a bowl, and then I had a bunch of different fruits and vegetable options for them to try in their yogurt. So then they could take that back with them to the Munch Madness and think, oh, Mrs. McGurr, let me try an apricot. I do like that, so let's see if that'll win. So that's kind of what we did over at Oakland. So there's we did star fruit. No one's really had star fruit at our school, so they thought it was pretty cool. So there's just them just trying their yogurt and stuff. So yeah, so that's all we did. Oh, there's field day pictures. Josh was there on field day. Did you try the corn on field day?
I did not get a chance to try the corn on the cob, but it looked delicious. And Courtney actually took advantage of one of the other assets that we have, being a partner with the Indianapolis Colts, as well as Rochelle did too. Chris, I'm not sure if Sunnyside, I think you guys were featured as a School of the Week before. So all three of these program advisors had a chance to be a featured School of the Week, which again is one of many great perks we get from being a partner with the Indianapolis Colts. Every week of the season, there is a new featured School of the Week video that the Colts production team creates for us, and then it's just a way to highlight those schools that are doing outstanding things, which are just about every school involved in Field to Play 60. But we were able to highlight the dairy farm tour that Boyd did, field day with the healthy snack that Oakland did, and then Chris, I'm sure you'll mention it in your part as well about exactly what events were highlighted in the School of the Week. But also, Courtney did a fantastic job. You might think that, well, Field to Play 60, trying to be super healthy, corn on the cob is great, and then and street corn tastes delicious, and hearing mayo in there might scare some people or think that, oh well, it's not healthy. She did a fantastic job of also having an entire fresh vegetable table with two different Greek yogurt dips, so obviously incorporating dairy since we are the American Dairy Association, Indiana, but also, again, having those different flavors. I believe one was like a Hidden Valley packet. You want to talk to those?
So I just took the Greek yogurt one. I think I just took some dill that I had already in the kitchen and just put it in there and mixed it up. And I think the other one was just taco seasoning and sour cream and just mixed it up real fast so they could have some dip with their vegetables. Because we always eat fruits, we always have apples, we always have bananas, but on field day you want to do like a popsicle or something sticky. This wasn't sticky, this was just something fun. So yeah, those were the dips I think that I did, or ranch. I don't know. I know I had yogurt in it. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. But it was outstanding. A great way for, again, incorporating both sides of Field to Play 60, having the healthy snack, as well as on field day having your students run around, have a good time. I wanted to jump into a couple of the stations. I didn't. I held myself back, but it looked like a lot of fun for all the students.
Yeah, so it's funny, I'm a veteran up here because I've been doing it for several years. And I would say that before Field to Play 60 came into my life, I had a very good PE program. But once I ended up winning the first grant, it just elevated my program to a level that I didn't know was possible. Funds are hard to come by, so just getting that first initial burst of funding was able to elevate my program and engage my students more. So I've been doing it for several years. I was able to work with Brooke and Mary the first couple of years, and now Josh has taken over. I want to go a little bit to the end. So whenever we got chosen for School of the Week by the Colts, they bring out the TV camera, the crew and everything. And it's a cool little production they do. Well, I didn't realize that some of the stations that I was doing, I was using almond milk, and it was a big foot in the mouth moment for me because they videotaped me, and I didn't realize, like, all right, American Dairy Association has nothing to do with almond milk at all, right? And I remember Brooke brought me to the side. She goes, Chris, have you ever thought about lactose-free milk? I'm like, what's that? You know, and she's like, you're showing almond milk on TV right now. I'm like, you're right, I shouldn't be doing that, right? Like, I think it's tasty, and I drink regular milk as well, but like, you're exactly right. We're promoting like Indiana Dairy Association. I'm like, that is terrible of me. So, although it was very cool to be chosen School of the Week, I definitely had a terrible moment there. And Johanny, I didn't realize you were there. Yeah, she was one of our student teachers at Sunnyside, so sorry to recognize you. So a couple of the very cool things that I got to do with the funds was, well, part of it is sustainability, and that is such a key component of it because you can run through the funds like that, and then, oh, you had a great event, and you had some cool products for your kids to use, but if you don't have something that's sustainable, then you're just gonna go back to the well and keep asking for more money and more money. So I think I was on the forefront of the smoothie bike, and you'll see the smoothie bike out there, you see that, and then I've also used Oakland's. I had my own too, but they got so popular that we had to buy more and more smoothie bikes because we were able to use them during STEM night and parent-teacher conferences. And on my prep, I'd ride around the school with the smoothies on the back, and I'd go deliver smoothies to teachers, and then they would pay me for it. So the sustainability part is we use it as fundraisers. So we buy an expensive bike, we get a grocery store to donate some food to us, and then we host events during school and after school and all types of programs, and it just keeps pumping money into our program. And with that, I was able to just, it's literally just, my program just kept going up and up and up, and I ended up with some really cool stuff at my school. So I'm able to provide a heart rate monitor for every kid, which is, it's over a $5,000 system for that. And then we have obstacle courses, and then I was able to, do a whole bunch of STEM stuff with extra gaming in my classrooms, able to bring in the science teachers, things like that. But then my last year at Sunnyside, I was able to create an entire obstacle course outside of every classroom in our building. We served 1,100, 1,200 students. So we're talking like 40 classrooms, and able to put like QR codes up outside of classrooms and provide equipment and stations for all the teachers to do classroom-based activities. Anytime any of the kids get wiggles and they need to get them out, go out into the hallway, get your wiggles out, and they knew exactly what to do. So we had an in-service for our teachers, teach them how to do everything. I would use my prep time to go in and teach them how to do things and how to use the equipment, and the equipment would be on a rotation. Some of the other great things I got to do was create a fuel up station inside of my classroom. So leftover milk during breakfast time would come to my gym, and I had coolers there, and they would just fill up the coolers with milk and bananas and apples and whatever cheese, like string cheese, whatever they happen to have left over from breakfast, and then again refill it up after lunch. And the students took ownership of doing that. So we'd have leaders who come in and run the stations for us, right? So now it's free milk because it was just left over, or cheese, string cheese, anything like that. And the students love to have their own like concession stand, but it was all free. So they just give it away to the kids who didn't necessarily eat breakfast, because not every kid loves eating breakfast at the exact same time. Some will just skip it, and it's not until after PE they're actually hungry or thirsty for milk and all that stuff. So able to provide fuel up stations for them throughout the entire day. And then during passing period, we'd pull the coolers out to the hallway, and the kids would drink a milk or eat cheese or whatever happens to be at that point in time, throw it away. And we had just this entire system set up where everybody's able to get nutrition throughout the day and never have to feel like they have to, go without a snack. Because I worked in a low SES population, not everybody had access to snacks and things like that. So, everything that I was able to purchase or do, it went into field day and into the classrooms. It impacted the entire community. We built Gaga pits. We did I mean, we're able to replenish PE equipment, things like that that just get used up. Anything classroom teachers wanted, like fidget toys or anything like that, we had it based around movement. So I was able to provide for the teachers and pump it into the program. I presented with Dairy Association with Mary at our our Indiana SHAPE conference for physical education teachers. And then I was able to take this, the program and show what I did to the national level, and I did Shape America down in Tampa this last year. I was able to talk about my experiences with the American Dairy Association and Fuel Up to Play 60. I mean, it's just such this wealth of everything that they've given me that just went outside of the classroom, outside of the school, and impacted, I mean, over the years, I'd say more than 10,000 students and families, the way that I was able to use the funds and with the smoothie bikes and everything else that I was able to use it with. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you guys for sharing. You know, I think Rochelle and Chris, you both touched on a big piece of the sustainability aspect of, you know, asking though, if it's something where you're needing food or even equipment and things like that, asking the local businesses for donations or even like a cut in price is a big thing we see across the board. And a lot of the time they'll say yes. I can't guarantee that your local stores will say yes, but it's always worth the ask. We always try to encourage program advisors to utilize that because, as you can see, a lot of the time when you mention it has to do with Fuel Up to Play 60 or just specifically health and wellness and, you know, giving back to the youth. A lot of businesses support that, and, you know, supporting local businesses is very important as well. Rochelle, I think we'll come back to you. I have a question for you. So, you know, you chose the Farm to School play. Being a new program advisor, why did you think that it was important to take your students to the dairy farm? Obviously, you have the connection with Brittany, but why did you think it was important, and maybe what were some things that you thought your students took away after they left that day?
If you're anywhere near Keenert Dairy Farm, you probably know that they have a fall festival, and it's huge, and it's really cool. But the kids go there and just have a lot of fun, and I'm not sure that they ever see what it really is that they're going to. But taking our kiddos there to take a look at what is really happening on the farm. What is the day-to-day operations? Not that fun little festival that you go to. What does it really mean, and where does the milk come from? And it was actually a second grader who was so incredibly cute, and he's like, "Miss Miller, thanks for letting me come. We come every year to the fall festival, and I had no idea what a high-tech operation this was." It was so funny. But everything from just watching the cows eat and step over foot by foot to let the poop scraper go by, to absolutely every part of it. So for them to be able to see, okay, this is really where the milk comes from, it then boosted that curiosity to, okay, but then what happens? But then what happens? And so just getting them more interested in milk products. Yogurt, we offer yogurt every day for breakfast and every day for lunch. And some of them started choosing yogurt as an option instead of a peanut butter and jelly. Nothing wrong with PB&J. I dig it too. But being able to make some different choices for themselves, and then building that natural curiosity for what's next, and then they just got really excited about everything.
Absolutely, and like I said, I was there as well, and the students had a blast. I'll support everything that Rochelle says. And then at the end of the day, they were able to enjoy a healthy snack of a carton of milk, and all of them enjoyed that as well. I think everyone was pretty set on chocolate milk, but obviously a lot of them had white milk as well. Courtney, coming to you, can you maybe talk about maybe a challenge that you encountered being involved in Fuel Up to Play 60, or speak to the fact of, obviously, as teachers, principals, administrators, food service staff, you have a lot on your plate, no pun intended there. But can you maybe speak towards challenges you face, or with everything that you have going on, how you get your students involved in Fuel Up to Play 60 and kind of keep it at the forefront?
Challenges is just because there's not enough time in the day. Like they see me for 20 minutes for lunch, and it's hard for me to express everything that I want to tell them about eating healthy. I mean, when I was in elementary school, there was nothing about eating healthy. You know, there was not a whole lot of, oh, hey, did you not want to eat those chips, but did you want to try this apple instead? So I try a lot to get them to think about what they're actually putting into their bodies. Hey, you know, maybe not take so much of this and maybe try this. So, I mean, there are a lot of challenges. You know, I sent home flyers. The area that we're in Lafayette, there's a lot of lower income families. So lots of fruits and vegetables aren't always, you know, a priority to some of these families. So that is a challenge as well, because, you know, we have them have it at school, and they want to come home and tell their parents, hey, you know, we tried this at school today, can we try this? And sometimes there's just not money in the budget to buy the fresh fruit and vegetables. So that's also a huge challenge that I face. And then, you know, they're at school all day, and there's so many things that they have to learn for all these wonderful tests that they take every day. I just don't have a lot of time to get in there and teach them about, you know, eating healthy and being healthy. And with, you know, I mean, you did a wonderful job at Sunnyside, just having them, you know, with the other things. I just don't have that in my building. I'm not allowed to do those things in my building. So, you know, I get them for 20 minutes. So I try to push it as much as I can in those 20 minutes. So that's why when we do the March Madness, I try to talk with our dietitian, hey, can we put, you know, XYZ on the menu so they can at least try it here and then take it home with them. So those are some of the challenges that I face with getting them to eat healthy.
Absolutely. Well, you're doing a great job, obviously, of helping them receive those healthier options as well, and make those changes for the future. Chris, we'll come to you. Obviously, since you've been involved in the program for so long, you know, you've been motivated to get more and more students involved and have meaningful impact on them. What has motivated you to be so involved with the program and continue to be involved in it? And also, why do you think it's important to have your students be a part of Fuel to Play 60 or be involved in the program?
Yeah, I think I would have dropped out after year one, because it is a little bit of work. You know, anytime you do something creative or what you think is creative and want to create more engaging activities for your students and programs, it's going to take a little bit of work up front. But then I realized the power of the sustainability part, using the resources to fuel other things. I mean, we got the Gaga pits, and all the teachers use it for exercise for their kids. And then we start using it as a fundraiser. So then I went to Africa and taught in some villages, and I was able to use it as a fundraiser. Kids would it's free to play, but if they want to donate to get an extra life, to get back in the Gaga, they donate. And we'd able to take those funds, we were able to buy soccer balls, 100 soccer balls for the villages in Africa because of that. So then the power of just the things that Fuel Up to Play 60 provided for us, for the entire community, made me want to continue to be involved. So I saw that it worked the first year, and then I'm like, wow, what can I do next? And my students are super engaged, and all the cool equipment we get, and the heart rate monitors, and the engagement inside my classroom went up. And then the engagement in the classrooms went up, and the discipline levels went down. So we tracked discipline levels was part of it. So there are less referrals going to the office because of the program we implemented, because the kids were getting more exercise in the morning, they're fueling up, they're getting nutrition, and then they wanted to be part of the program, so their behaviors were better. So we saw as a community do that. So it wasn't just the nutrition side or the physical fitness side, it was a little bit of everything. It's truly a blessing to have it in our school. It elevated everything that we did.
Absolutely, and that aligns obviously with what our theme is today of sustainability and innovation. Being able to take the program for what it's worth, and all three of these program advisors have received grant funding at some point or another, and are able to utilize that to have some great events, but then also provide a program that'll be lasting. It's not just one of those one-off, one and done type events. Those are fantastic too, whether it's a kickoff event and things like that. But being able to, whether it's receive donations from a local business or do fundraising through some of those other activities that they do, that's kind of the best way to go about things. Again, to continue to engage as many students as you can and have a meaningful impact on them. Going back down to Rochelle, and all three of you, I'll ask you this question, and hopefully there's enough answers to go around. But if you had to give, maybe a word of advice, I won't limit you to one. You can as many as you have, but to new or returning program advisors. Rochelle, I know that last year was you attended training camp for the first time, and I remember talking to you and you being so excited and motivated and ready to take it back to your school and get them involved. What advice would you give to really anyone looking to get involved in Field to Play 60 or someone who's already involved in Field to Play 60?
Just a couple of things. One, get other people involved. So I brought a team with me last year. I brought a different team with me this year just to get some buy-in and get other people involved. But I would say just start, whether it be small or large, just start. Even if you planned a beginning that's small, a well-executed, what you think small piece is, can buy a lot of motivation. It could buy a lot of way going in the direction that you want. So our kids in a farm trip, just for a day to see what it was about, they really started talking about healthy choices, and we were able to, in our monthly meetings with them, reiterate what they were doing, and then they would tell us about the healthy choices they were making at home and what they were doing with their family and how they were getting active. So what you might think is a really small activity to start can buy really huge dividends. So just start.
I think that's a great piece of advice too. A lot of what I can't speak to what my colleagues have heard, but from what I hear from visiting schools or emailing with teachers, administrators, food service staff, any program advisors, is figuring out what event works best for you. There's no, there are certain events that we have outlined, but there's no rules about what you have to start off doing. It's really what works best for you. I've had teachers tell me about having one classroom event that's 20 or 30 students and really just hitting the nail on the head and doing a great job. And I've had other schools that have done huge kickoff events that are district-wide. It's just that you have to figure out what works best for your school, your students, and really run with it. I think that's a great piece of advice, Rochelle.
The same. Just getting a team of people together. And it doesn't have to be a team in your own building. I use the high school. A lot of those kids are football players, basketball players, the band even. I mean, you have to start, I brought in the football team, we brought in our drum line for our kickoff event. And, when I was in high school, they were all kind of the same height because, they're all your friends. And now you look up at these football players and you're like, what are you guys eating? Why are you so tall? But, the kids look up to those people. And, they, if you show them, hey, if you start now, you could get to this when you get to high school. So use your resources in your community. I'm fortunate to be in Lafayette. Purdue's right around the corner. So we use a lot of Purdue stuff. So just, think outside the box a little bit. Okay, yeah, this is in my building, but what can I do outside of my building? Use your communities. Just build your team a little bit higher or bigger. Yeah.
I think that those high schoolers must have been drinking their milk to help grow.
So I really think so, because they're huge.
Yeah, but absolutely. I remember when you had emailed me those pictures about the kickoff event with the drum line and football players, and all your students really enjoyed it and look up to them as role models. That's another excellent way to get high schools involved too. I think sometimes I'll hear from high school program advisors that are trying to figure out, well, how do I get my students involved? Field to Play 60 is a program for K through 12. But sometimes the program advisors will go look at some of the plays, maybe not fully find a way to incorporate it in high school, but the way that Courtney's doing it is excellent, of having those high school athletes or drumline band members, whoever it is, be those role models for the younger students and have them get involved in Field to Play 60 and being those mentors to help them, form those health and wellness habits for later on in life.
Yeah, so the very first thing I did whenever I started this endeavor was I was also involved with Action for Healthy Kids, the Hannah Ramsland. She's not here, is she?
I don't think
No,
so.
so I just asked the question, what has everybody else done? And she gave me like tons of ideas, and then what I did is I did my own spin on them. And then I went to my students and asked them what they wanted to do. And with going to those two resources, I was able to formulate the plays that I wanted that would engage them. If you ask the students what they want to do, then they're going to be fully engaged. We were just talking about that. We were like, what can we do to like where my kids don't feel like I'm a dork and they're engaged and they're not like just goofing off all the time? Give them what they want. Now you have to create your boundaries, but just give them what they want, but make sure, if it's, the overall mission and fits inside the school's parameters, but give the kids what they want. And if you give the kids what they want, and that's in your classrooms too, then the kids are going to be engaged because then they feel like they have ownership. So ask them what they want, formulate a plan, and then put it into action. That's exactly what I did. So it's such a simple answer, but as soon as you do that, you realize that maybe you got something pretty special. And then on the flip side of that, like, don't reinvent the wheel. So we noticed we had the Ninja Warrior course up there. Go with that. Just make your own Ninja Warrior course, something, ask the kids like what obstacles they want in it. What can they do? The smoothie bike, that's great, but maybe you can do a smoothie bike and make ice cream. I actually did it. There's these big bowls you can actually put ice cream or milk and all the ingredients in, and the kids shake it, and they look like weight balls. And you shake it enough, and after a while, it turns into ice cream. Super messy, but the kids love it. And then at the end, we do a challenge, and whoever wins a challenge, that team gets to eat the ice cream. Then everybody else gets a healthier choice, whatever that happens to be. So, but kids wanted ice cream. That's what they wanted. Well, I gave it to them, but I also gave them physical fitness by shaking the heck out of that ball, right? So it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Again, that goes back to, I think, figuring out what works best for you. And what you're talking about, Chris, is definitely one of those innovative things of, I didn't even think about the fact that is physical activity. I was just focused on the ice cream. I think my brain's telling me something.
After a while.
But those are some fantastic ideas. Again, finding what works for you. And obviously today the panel here and what it's all about is sharing between each other. I think Chris and Courtney, I know Rochelle, you brought your team as well, sharing with them. But talking about involving other people outside of your school, picking each other's brain. There's actually a great resource. If you're on Facebook nationally, Feel It to Play 60 has a program advisor page that is solely for you all to be a part of, where there's sharing goes on. It's really just utilized as a message board, sounding board to share ideas. Again, figuring out what's best for you, hearing from other people. I would have never thought about a Ninja Warrior course. I think the Munch Madness is outstanding. I just love to imagine Chris riding around on a bike inside school delivering smoothies. I wish I had that with my PE teacher when I was growing up, but a lot of excellent ideas here, and again, relating it all back to figuring out how to sustain the program while also having new ideas, but also relating it back to your students and figuring out what works best. So I think now we will open it up for questions for you all. I know that a lot of you probably have burning questions now, so Meg, do you have a mic? If anyone would like to start it off and ask Chris, Courtney, or Rochelle any questions. Anyone? Bueller.
All at once.
Well,
What
get.
was the teacher's favorite smoothie? What did you sell the most of? Was it a coffee smoothie or was it something else?
No, it's chocolate banana. Chocolate banana, yeah. Yeah, they're a huge hit. I mean, here's the thing is I typically would just send out a few. Like I would ride around, then I would get busy, so I'd have students help me. But then the rumor got out that we were giving away smoothies, and then it just became a job. Like all 40 teachers got it, then the kitchen staff would get some. So my cups ended up going from here to about here, because I was filling them up for my favorite teachers and the principals. I was buttering them up, and then after a while, it's just like, all right, we only have so many resources here. So yeah, chocolate banana is the answer.
The chunky monkey, we have a recipe for that.
Yeah, I do.
Other questions?
Any questions?
Is there anything else that you guys would want to say that you haven't already that would be helpful or be of value for everyone else here?
I would say that outside the funding, just being a part of this has been fantastic. So it's Fuel Play 60, Indiana Dairy Association have been solely responsible for me skipping school about 15 times. So it's been great reason. If you're bringing in funding or creating cool activities, the principal typically has no problem letting you go on professional development. And so I've been to the dairy farms, and we did Lucas Oil last year. So in this. So it's been a great reason to get out of school and do things with adults rather than just kids all day. But the community of just Fuel Up Play 60 they're great people. They're awesome people to work with. Johanny?
How do you encourage support within your building, like within the smoothies, like from the teachers and stuff, to get support from your teachers on board with what you're doing?
I have a great relationship with all the teachers in our building. So I just sent out an email and just said, hey, this is something that I want to do. We use the Munch Madness for field day. So like what Chris was saying, the students have a choice in what they're doing. So why not we just make it easier for ourselves and let them choose? So you just kind of have to build relationships with other people. Hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Would you want to help, or you want to back me up on this, or whatever? That's what I did. So that's how I got the support from my staff at my building. So
To our school improvement team. We took it to our school improvement team. We're always looking at finding ways to have fun again in school, because you can have fun. I think we get pigeonholed into state testing, and then you have this sense of urgency, and you got to step back and give kids some activity. And those behaviors that we started seeing rapidly have decreased some. So it's just getting your school improvement team involved, getting them some ideas of having fun again, and truly having fun with kids. Bring Blue up. If anybody hasn't had Blue, bring Blue up for an assembly. It's free. And if they like to go to multiple schools, but there's lots of free stuff out there. And who doesn't love Blue? Like, it's the direct connection to the Colts. So they think it's really cool.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to have, that's loud, please. I was fortunate enough to have like-minded principals and staff who welcome physical fitness and nutrition. The only hiccups you'll have is you should always go through your principal first, see if it's going to interrupt the flow and the chi of the school. But whenever you involve nutrition anytime, they'll want to know, and then you want to go to whoever's in charge of your building for that, because the whole sanitation thing, and then also cleanliness. Kids will leave wrappers places and milk cartons, things like that. So you're going to put all those things and all those systems in place. So just getting the okay from everybody, but I feel like whoever doesn't say yes to kids moving and getting proper nutrition is just a bunch of jerks. So you just
Have a color run. Yeah, you're gonna have some cornstarch to clean up, but it's so much fun.
And I think this goes back to, building your team, being able to find those other teachers, administrators, whoever it is that are passionate about it. And then it goes back to, again, everyone has a lot on their plate. So if you're able to involve, and I'm sure you all agree with me, if you're able to involve a handful more of your fellow colleagues, that it'll make it that much easier of creating events and coordinating them and getting community involved. I think I don't know if you all will agree, but community members and parents as well are some of the biggest assets for volunteers, because who doesn't want to go hang out with their kid and support them in what they do? So I think some of that definitely contributes to success as well.
We have, it ended up, our PTC then put on a healthy week, and the police department came out and did helmet fitting, and we had a little bike rally after school, so bring your bikes, and we went for a bike ride, but the police fitted them for helmets first. It turned into a whole big thing where the community came out and helped us. We had Science Central come out, and they set up booths to teach us about our bodies, so it turned into a much more than a trip to the farm.
I have a question. Do you guys have advice for anybody out here in growing your teams? So obviously you can't all just do it by yourself. So how did you get the support from other people at your school that maybe they could utilize as well?
So at the beginning, what I did is at the beginning of every day, pretty loud, right? At the beginning of every day, our first 45 minutes was dedicated to like catching up on homework or any type of reading program students did, or catch up on math and anything like that. So, but the PE teacher was always left without something to do. So I was always pumped into the classroom to help with reading and math, and that's just not my jam, because I also see, well, the research shows the benefits of physical exercise in the morning. So I'm like, well, this is stupid. I have a skill set. I want to use my skill set for the betterment of all kids. So this is when Fuel Up to Play 60 came in, and so I created the first 45 minutes as movement time. Well, I couldn't get every student into the gym, so what I did was I grabbed one teacher's class at a time, thus giving them a prep. Okay, so they were happy to give me their kids. So I created this program, Minds in Motion. I stole the words, but Minds in Motion. I put up 10 stations. Kids would rotate through. I'd just oversee it. I wouldn't necessarily teach them, but they would go through, and I'd set up QR codes, and they would go around my gym and get physical exercise. So that became so popular that the next year, the principal was like, the first 45 minutes is for everybody to move. So all the teachers were trained to, we would have our own stations throughout the building to get up and get the kids moving through these Minds in Motion stations. And then, you know, the kids who really needed, like, you know, weeks behind on homework, they would do that. But the large majority of the student population was up and moving for 45 minutes. In and around the school, small spaces, big spaces, whatever it happened to be. It started off with just me, but the next year it ended up being everybody. So getting everybody involved, first I had to sacrifice my time.
Your time.
My
One
time, but then
teacher.
after that, everybody was in. Yeah.
Awesome. Ladies, any suggestions?
I think when you're just passionate about something and you show your passion for it, other people are going to jump on board. They see, you know, like, oh, well, that's really cool that they're doing that in the cafeteria. Maybe if I bring it, maybe at the end of the day in my classroom, we'll just try this versus this, or we can get up and get moving, or, you know, Go Noodle's always a good thing that we, you know, some of the teachers do at the end of the day. So, I mean, it's just if you're passionate about it, other people are going to start to take notice and be like, maybe I can do something like that. So that's what
Mine's just ask. I have 2 new teachers with me to our building, and I said, hey, any chance you'll go to Indy with me and go to the Colts training facility? One teaches classes, the other one is taking yoga, and then Jen, I just love you, so.
It pays to be principal. Pays to be principal.
Yeah, it does. And they were like, yeah, come. And I think that, I don't know that you guys knew much about it when you were coming because they're new to our building. They weren't here last year, but they said yes, and I think kind of pumped about it now, so.
I'm curious, how did you go about picking within the playbook which play might make sense for your school? Or how often do you change which play you focus on as you go from one season to the next?
This is only my season 2, and we're gonna have that conversation going back up to Fort Wayne, so. That's our home talk in the car.
I'm just kind of go with the flow. So I just kind of think, hey, this looks good. Let's try it this time. So I'm not really set in stone for anything at my school.
Well, that's fair. I mean, give it a try, see what works. Of course.
Yeah, I've done exactly that. So I applied for a play and got approved by Fuel Up to Play 60. So you're expected to follow through on the play and then, you know, document throughout. And then I actually had to reach back out because it wasn't going to work out. So, something had happened in our building where we weren't able to do exactly what I thought it was. So I went and I rechecked, and we changed our play completely. So you have to be flexible and realize, like, if it doesn't work, then just reach out, make sure, you know, because you want to keep your funding and being good cahoots with everybody. Just clear communication, like, you know, the first play is not going to work now, but I would love to try something else. Can I try it? And usually they just say yes.
I think Chris brings up a fantastic point. If you are a school that applies and receives funding, and you encounter something like where you apply for breakfast in the classroom maybe, and then it changes to, you know, farm to school is going to suit your school best, all it takes is you know, an email, a phone call, a text, if that works best for you, to one of us on the Fuel Up to Play 60 team at the Dairy Association office. So that's myself, Meg, or Hannah. And as long as it, again, aligns with the goals of that nutrition or physical activity play, if it's on the nutrition side, as long as it continues to incorporate dairy in some way, we tend to be able to, you know, change that and approve it so that, again, we can help you guys find what works best for your students, your school, in that environment.
So Josh, maybe that's a good segue into the grant process and program, just with a little bit of background and hearing how each
so I think Hannah had briefly mentioned grants earlier, but the way that if you are interested in applying for funding. If you're not already signed up to be an official program advisor, all you have to do is head to fueluptoplay60.com, and then in the top right-hand corner of that main page is a button that says Join Now. You'll click that button, and then it'll redirect you to create an account. I know it sounds like a lot. All it is your name, email, and then if you're an adult or a student. And then from there, I think it might make you create a username and password, obviously, and then you'll have your account. It'll take you to what's called the dashboard, and the dashboard is your mainframe. So when you get to the dashboard, on there'll be a button towards the top that would say Become a Program Advisor, and that is how you would directly link to your school. And then from there, on the left-hand side of the dashboard is a long menu of different items like tools, different, the playbook, things like that. And then there's a tab that's called My Funding, which is where you'll be able to locate all the information about applying for grants, as well as related to one of the plays. If you don't already know, you're able to apply for up to $4,000. It would be divvied up between the healthy eating play and the physical activity play, $2,000 per play. And while we do have funding, we're not always able to fully fund you when you do apply. Sometimes we are, sometimes we aren't. It just all depends on how many schools apply, what you're looking to do. Sometimes we have schools apply for less just because they need only a little bit as opposed to the full amount. And we're always trying to spread the love. So, when we get 50 schools, obviously it's tough to fully fund 50 schools. So we try to, again, spread the funding around so that everyone at least can have a little bit of funding towards their Fuel Up to Play 60 goals. Does anyone have any questions on that? That was a lot of information. If you ever do have questions, like I said, feel free to reach out to really any of us at the American Dairy Association Indiana. Myself, Hannah, and Meg are the Fuel Up to Play 60 team, but that's not to say that if you contact someone else, they cannot answer your question, or they will redirect you to one of us.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, absolutely. Please do.
I want to jump in because I hate filling out grants, but I've won them over the past 10 years. If you've ever done like a community grant, community foundation grant, or I've even applied for like a Lowe's or Home Depot to help build like apparatus around the building and stuff like that, that can take up to like weeks to do. This is the easiest grant to ever apply for. They have made it dummy proof. It is like, I've won it, so I am definitely a dummy. And it's so easy. It's the easiest grant I've ever applied for. There are some easy ones out there, but this is super easy, and they make it user-friendly, where it invites you to like try to get money for your school. Like, it's just really easy. So I'd encourage you to at least click. He made it sound long, which
right, well,
but it's not. It's super easy. Yeah, and it's user-friendly. So yeah, I'd encourage you to do it over and over again.
There's some other small grants too. I just applied and received flag football kit, and so it's supposed to come here by the end of September. Super excited about that. Yay! So it's coming soon, I'm sure. But that was a super easy one to apply for, and it was exciting to get it.
Yeah, the flag football stuff it's legit too. Like they send you this huge bag of the flag belts that pop off, and like 10 or 15 blue footballs. Like it's really good stuff, and we just leave it for everybody to use. It's fantastic.
Is there any more questions for our panel or for any of us on the dairy team?
Last one for the panel. If you have one piece of advice to give for your Fuel Up to Play 60 program and for everybody out here, what would it be?
Like I said before, just get started and just have fun.
Yeah. Have lots of fun with it. There's so many things you can do with it. So just have fun.
Yeah, I would say to be as creative as possible, and again, ask your students what they want and give them a great experience. That's just what it's designed to do.
Well, thank you guys very much. We really appreciate you sharing with us today and obviously being here. Let's give them a round of applause.